and induct our faculty for Urban Male Course and Malcolm X and Kennedy King College. Additionally, Marlon is active in Mentor Teacher Brother, TV, a non-profit organization that mentors African-American male high school students. MTV is the Nation Philanthropy Program and 501 Fraternity Incorporated, in which he is a proud member. Moreover, Marlon is a health.
Why you all trying to get me tired before I speak? So honored by this opportunity because I was told that the theme is Dare to Dream, a journey to success. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the journey in between. So often that we talk about the dream and then we talk about success. But what about when you're going through the journey and then you have that struggle and it's difficult to see success?
It's a destination.
So it has been 2 years since I have been on this stage to speak for Black graduation. And in those last 2 years since I've stood on this stage, we have experienced the killings of young African-American men. So from Trayvon Martin to Mike Brown, Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, most recently Walter Scott in South Carolina and Freddie Gray in Baltimore. What is the commonality between all of them? Is that there was unarmed Black men in America that was killed. So with the most recent killings in Ferguson and Baltimore, it ignited what I call a civil unrest. And so the media has shown us our people riding through the streets, looting stores, and then burning police cars, and then even a person doing a nay-nay on top of a truck. I know that was funny, wasn't it? And then watching the news media coverage of the riots, it will quickly have you condemning the actions of the protesters and forgetting the very reason why the civil unrest started in the first place. So the late great Martin Luther King stated, he said, a riot is the voice of the unheard. And I understand this, I am never condoning looting or violence because I believe that right is right and wrong is wrong, no matter the race, color, or authority figure. But in researching the situations that took place in Ferguson and Baltimore, I discovered that there was weeks of peaceful protest that was not ever covered by the media. I hear claps to the room with that one. I even discovered Black men taken to the streets to help protect the police officers and bring peace to the community, and volunteers in large numbers cleaning the streets of Baltimore. And for the guy doing the nay-nay, he spoke about how he wanted to light up the mood in the situations that was taking place in Baltimore, so he would walk through the streets doing Michael Jackson routines. And the nay-nay was just one of the dance that included that. But see, the media did not show this type of coverage. It was Malcolm X who stated that if we are not careful as a people, the media will have us hating ourselves, but yet loving our oppressors. He also stated that the most powerful entity on this earth is the media. It has the power to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent. That right there is power in itself, because it controls the mind of the masses. But see, let me tell you what I saw when I looked at this situation. I saw people that marched, protested, and made their voices heard loudly when it came to political corruption, the injustice of our people, and the brutality of young African-American men. I witnessed more than ever the solidarity of Blacks wanting to come together to make a stand for justice. We made the popular slogan, Black Lives Matter. And with that, it was heard all throughout the country, and it was made popular through social media. However, I feel that this all stems from a larger issue that we're not speaking about. And these are issues that we're sweeping under the rug in our Black community. And because we don't talk, it leads to what I call bigger issues. Now, what are these issues that I'm speaking about? You have high unemployment rates in our city. You have a growing number of fatherless homes. You have broken relationships. You have alcohol and drug abuse. And then you have people that have been raped and molested by family members. And then you have failing school systems and a lack of proper health care. And then you have also little to no existence of Black businesses in our communities. And so do you mean to tell me that this is something that would cause you to be angry? As you walk through your streets and you feel as though there is a sense of hopelessness, So studies have shown that all of these conditions lead to an increase in violence and crime. And when these conditions are present. So in our communities, we don't talk about the issues. We hide it in and we keep it to ourselves. And there are some people that are truly walking around hurt, mad, angry because they never really dealt with what the problem was inside of them. So Drake has a song, he said, you know what? I went 0 to 100 real quick. I know many people know that song. But the reality of it is that you cannot just go 0 to 100 real quick. I say that you went to sleep on 98, then you woke up on 99, and then you said, I wish somebody would say something to me to get me to 100. All of this comes down to having serious issues. And in Chicago alone, there was over 450 homicides and a total of 2,600 people that were shot or wounded. It bothers me that we can march, we can protest and make our voice loud when it comes to police brutality and police corruption. But when it comes to black on black crime, that same voice becomes a silent whisper throughout the room. So we have young teens that do not care about their lives, let alone black lives. And it's the funerals of young, bright, and intelligent people killed by senseless violence that I've attended these past few years. Not those who are thugs, pimps, or prostitutes. I attended the funeral of a young man that was 12 years old last summer, killed 6 times as he ran outside to play. I attended the funeral of a 16-year-old boy that was a twin that got killed in trying to protect his brother. And I even attended the funeral of alumni that was graduated right from here, from Steve Agee to Ayanna Rogers, and then most recently Anthony Hayes. These are individuals that have promising futures, but somebody took their life just with the pull of a trigger. So it constantly hurt my heart to see such tragedies. And yet it happens so often that the black community, that we become immune to these senseless acts and do nothing. But you may be wondering to yourself, what does this have to do with black graduation? But it has everything to do with black graduation, because I'm making an address to the black leaders of tomorrow who will one day make that change. We must not allow ourselves to become bitter, but instead we have to become better. In this room, I see future lawyers and judges who will fill our nation courtrooms to make a better justice system for tomorrow. See, that one example is the young lady who was 35 years old, just elected to be the prosecutor in Maryland. She made a difference after 4 months of being hired. Now the cops are being charged. I see future doctors and nurses who will be able to provide better health care in our low-income communities. A community that will no longer have to worry about the death due to a lack of health resources never being given to them. I see future CEOs, businessmen, and women who will restore jobs back to our communities and have their struggles that will have to be no more due to lack of opportunities. So some of us constantly ask the question, when and will change come to our cities, to our community, and family for the better? But we are the very change that we have been asking people for. The change starts with us first. And we have to make ourselves better before we can make someone else better. So tell your neighbor, I am the positive change that I've been looking for. You gotta say that a little better for me right now. Say that. And see, there was times that I was dealing with some struggles and I didn't understand why these obstacles and struggles was happening to me. But it was not until I got to the place where I was able to mentor other individuals and help them through their life struggles to know that it was not about me, but it was to help somebody else. So you have to understand that. I got to get better at that, letting people clap. And so it was through all of that that I realized that my life is not my own. The late, great Martin Luther King wrote in his autobiography about the time that he was 14 years old. He mentioned how he traveled from Atlanta to Dublin, Georgia, where they teach you to participate in an oratorical contest. Now, as they was on their way back from this oratorical contest, it was a 90-mile ride. White passengers got on the bus. And the bus driver said, you know what, you all need to give up your seat because there are no more seats to the white passengers. And because they did not move fast enough, the bus driver cursed them out. At that time, Dr. Martin Luther King mentioned that he had to stand in an aisle for 90 miles all the way back to Atlanta. He said that night would never leave his memory because it was the angriest that he had ever felt in his life. Now, I tell you this story because many people in this room Like the young Dr. Martin Luther King has faced obstacles, suffered the feeling of defeat, had negative words spoken over your life, and had a feeling of anger, but through it all, you have to allow it to make a better you. We all have a strong capacity to experience anger due to our human nature. It is the very thing that wakes people up and makes them pay attention to what's wrong in their environment. See, without anger, we will not have the awareness or the drive to fix what is wrong within our community. See, great leaders do not ignore their anger, nor do they allow it to consume them, but instead, they channel that emotion into energy, commitment, sacrifice, and purpose. They use it to help set up their game and infuse the people around them to form constructive anger is what I call it. They also make a commitment, sacrifice, and commitment. And in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, that he spoke to the Freedom Waves magazine in the year of 1968, the supreme task of a leader is to organize and to unite the people so that their anger becomes a transforming force for everyone that's around them. How quickly America forgets its own history. Because it is our country that was founded on the anger of colonists who protested the British Parliament and ignited the American Revolution, who decided they were no longer going to take the authority and the taxation without proper representation. Then we also have the Black Civil Rights Movement in 1968, where you had Dr. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X, who said, listen, because our people cannot get a right vote, we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to sit in lunch counters. And we're going to sit up here and lock arms until a change comes about. Because our vote is needed and it needs to be heard. So which is why now I don't understand with black people, why is it that we don't want to vote? We have people that die for the right for us to vote. Young boy and that young girl stand on the corner who feel hopeless because no one ever showed them love. We should get angry to the point where we hold our political leaders, corrupt people, pastors, and law officers accountable for their actions. We should get angry to the point where it shakes the very corrupt foundation of our neighborhoods and our communities to turn it right side up and upside down. We should get angry to a point to where we see a positive change take place. And as Martin Luther King did, transform your anger, defeat, and letdown into a positive change that you want to be, and let that be seen. So remember, don't allow yourself to get better, but just get better, because today is a new day, and forget yesterday. And turn to your neighbor one more time for me to say, it's already looking better. It's already looking better. And that's my time. Thank you.